I really want to start posting on YouTube more because I think that something very important as an artist is authenticity and vulnerability. I mostly post on Facebook. I've been documenting my journey as a disabled artist and now, unfortunately, as of fairly recently, a visually impaired artist. You know, that's been a huge challenge because I've essentially gone down to only really being able to make art with one eye. And that's taken a lot of adjustment. It's taken a lot of, well, replanning a lot of things in my life. I didn't really think about how much effort it takes to make art with just one eye, how prone I am to straining my one good eye, and how I need to pace myself when before I used to be able to just work really, really long days as an artist and I would take on contract work and work in children's books. I would design tattoos, and on top of that, I would be making my own projects, working on, well, yeah, anything that I felt like making. And now, everything I do is very carefully timed, very planned, and even though there's a beauty to that, there's also a bit of a hindrance to it. But that's something I want to talk about another day. There's something that bothers me about posting on Facebook as much as I do, and it's that more and more it feels like the people I want to be reaching aren't there, but the content I want to be seeing isn't there either. And I think it's something that, you kind of end up like just ships in the fog. I want to follow my friends and my family and see what like my creative buddies are up to. And instead, all I get are these weird AI generated suggested posts that I don't want to see. No one wants to see that. And then you go onto the comments and it's a bunch of people being like, thoughts and prayers, amen. And it's like, I don't know who you think I am, Meta, but I'm not the target demographic for this. And I want to be on Facebook or on any sort of social media to actually connect with people. And I put so much effort into, well, writing about very difficult parts of my experience and being honest and open about various aspects of disability that are honestly very difficult for me to write about. But I do it so that it reaches the right people. I do it so that it can inspire people. And aside from, getting things out for myself, it's like there's enough taboo on subjects like disability. And, well, it feels important to talk about your experience with this kind of stuff, but it's also scary. And I realize I've been holding myself up from posting on YouTube too because that's scary too. I'm really hoping that I'm able to actually find a rhythm with posting here a little bit more often because there's a lot of subjects that I would like to talk about. There is the subjects of course, accessibility and disability. When being an artist, that stuff is challenging. I didn't realize how much my life would change after I got glaucoma as well. Just like my life changed drastically after I got chronic pain. And, this hasn't really been a change for me, but I've been autistic all my life. But, there's also certain things that come with navigating that I've been very vulnerable about. I've been very honest and very open about. And certain subjects are easier to talk about than others in this regard because I find myself being able to talk about stuff like chronic pain and autism a lot easier than I can talk about vision loss because of the recency of it. And it's important to talk about these things. It's important to be human with each other because if we don't break down this stigma, it's just going to continue to hurt. And I've gotten a lot of messages from people who tell me that my perspective on chronic pain or on autism has been able to change the way that they navigate these subjects in their own life. And see, that's the goal. That's why I'm vulnerable. That's why I like that as an artist, because you can measure the impact you make. You can measure the effect that your story is having on people. But the thing is, I've lost that. I've lost that on Facebook a lot because, yes, there is still some genuine connections. But most of the time, I don't know, I feel a bit lost recently. I'll share something that is very vulnerable for me to share. it doesn't reach the same audience anymore. And those people who want those posts message me telling me that they barely see my content anymore. So it's like, what's all this effort for? You know what I mean? Now, as far as making content as an artist, you see, I hate that word, content, right? You should be making something to actually engage people, something that actually touches people. But see, that's kind of the problem. Everything is meant for a very short consumption, a very short attention span. So you are then reduced to just being a content creator. But sometimes that even gets stolen from you. Because the other day I was browsing through Facebook as per usual, and I saw an account that wasn't mine, but a profile picture and artwork that looked very familiar. It was my own. So you have people who are taking your hard work that you make, and if you're not stealing it by using AI to replicate your work, they're stealing it by directly downloading what you've posted, passing themselves off as you, and possibly even getting more likes and more shares and actually getting paid for the work that you are making. I'll see a post with art that I recognize, but then see a name that is completely detached from the artist, and it just leaves me wondering, how much art have I stumbled across that wasn't actually that artist's art? And that is scary to me. That is something that I worry, as much as it happens to me, that it happens to other people. And I don't know. There's something about that that makes me feel like even though we produce so much content, we aren't actually valued. We are just, I don't know, kind of fueling this algorithm that ends up stealing from us. And I'm not saying that YouTube is free of that. I'm not saying Facebook is the only place this happens in. But it's just so rampant there. And, you know, I'm personally tired of seeing all of this art, all of these paintings. Since dealing with visual impairment, it is personally harder for me to tell what's AI and what isn't. And that's not something I'm afraid to admit. But it's something I'm afraid of because of what it implies. And you know, you look at some of these AI posts, and the ones that are blatantly AI, sure, I can tell. But I've accidentally shared AI artwork, and that's just the beginning now, right? Like, this shit's gonna get worse. And if we don't actually stop feeding it, it's not only gonna come for our jobs, it's going to actually try to replace us, what we write, what we create, what we share, because there is already a growing trend of this happening. The fact that we have our own work stolen from us so brazenly right under our noses, it's not going to get easier and it's not going to get better. So the only way to actually prevent this is to not even feed it in the first place. And I think that I want to stop posting the way that I used to be on Facebook. So yeah, it's time for me to kind of venture out into new platforms, new spaces, and I really want to make a commitment as an artist to have my work mostly be shown in person and to use Facebook as sort of, I don't know, a way to make little announcements here and there, a way to keep the audience that I still have on there engaged, but I'm not going to put my hopes on social media anymore because aside from it feeling hopeless, part of it also feels irresponsible, and that's just my thought on this. I did catch something in editing real quick here that I did think it was worth mentioning. There has been a very rewarding side of this, which is why it makes me sad to see Facebook be what it is right now, because when I first went to art school, or back even before I went to art school, before I moved from Canada to the Netherlands to Switzerland and had a lot of crazy life stories happen to me, I've had a lot of people from the very, very beginning, back when I was just a beginning artist. And, you know, shout out to those people. You know who you are. If you were there at the very beginning, you know, this one's for you. You are really what keeps me going. This is my potion of get shit done. But the lovely people who actually cared about my work before I was doing anything with it, you guys are the reason I posted. You guys are the reason I actually began, this whole journey of actually interacting with people as an artist, sharing my work, sharing my experience with disability, because I was terrified. I I was really, really scared to be public with stuff. And, you know, it was really worth it. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.